Winning in the New Age of B2B Sales Technology. Our facilitator is Kevin Asher, and he's president of AcousticSelling, where he helps salespeople and their managers become more awesome with tech. Welcome, Kevin.
Hi, Gene. Great to be here.
Thank you. Hey, theme number 4. What role does technology play in creating a modernized sales team? Tell me why this topic was your discussion.
I was so excited to get to this final theme of the panel because it is where I spend most of my day living, the intersection of sales and technology. Before this, we examined the buyer side, the seller side from a personality and a market dynamics point of view. And in this theme, we bring it all together in where can technology help accelerate improvement in better buyer and seller interactions.
So tell us about the panelists that you invited to join this conversation.
Oh, I feel like I know I've never met any of them in person, but after about 3 months of working together now on this panel, I feel like I know them pretty well. We've got a combination of folks from all over the world, but the one unifying factor is that they have all either been individual salespeople, sales managers, sales executives, and therefore have an inside view on what it takes to do what I think is a very noble and a very difficult profession, which is selling to other businesses.
Now, when you look at this executive summary, it looks like tech and automation really were the star here, huh?
Yeah, and I'm not surprised that people really focused in, as they should, on eliminating repetitive tasks, which therefore improves our proficiency or efficiency, and by giving us new things to measure and insights that come from those measurements, we now have better ways to understand rep effectiveness. And the last point about tool burnout is, okay, so there's lots of good things happening, there's lots of benefits, therefore there's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of different providers, each trying to carve out their own niche. So a very natural reaction is, whoa, this is messy, scary, and there's potentially so much risk in buying poor performing or just not relevant software products that no one wants to have shelfware or burn some bridges by doing rollouts that nobody's excited about. So it's a very lively place to be in right now, this explosion of sales technology.
Key point number 1, you do talk about prospecting and tech tools that can help with that. Walk us through this conversation.
When you think of the role of technology, it's very easy to get those first wins with, well, let's automate stuff that was really manual. And I can't think of a better task that just fits those descriptions than prospect profiling and list building. This is literally pulling together the names of people with their contact information wherever we could find it, and all the marketing and company strategy. All that eventually has to come down to the very literal, a salesperson needs to talk to a buyer. Right. It just needs to happen at some point in B2B sales. And so there's a lot of work that comes into how do we identify which people should we talk to? Literally, how do I get a hold of them? So when I put all this together, it makes total sense that out of all the things that we could do with technology, let's simplify our list building and make it more productive. And then tools like Discover.org and Sales Navigator very quickly rise to the top of prominence amongst the panelists.
That makes sense. Walk us through key point 2.
As I mentioned earlier, the excitement and the opportunity also comes with the downside of, hey, our people are distracted. So to Rainier's point, are our reps being distracted by having too many different tools? And people often ask me how many tools should my reps have? And there is no firm answer. And then to Frank's point, just because something can be measured doesn't always mean that it should be. And so I like his perspective of just because there's potential analytics and measurements, let's be clear that we're just not getting distracted or being disjointed by looking at every possible number that could come up on a spreadsheet.
I was really intrigued by your key point number 3, which is this performance management employee retention conversation.
Yes. I've been in sales for so long and have seen time and time again that your take-home pay is often due to vagaries in the system. And you could understand why salespeople get paid on commission, because it's the lowest risk form of payment for the employer. It's basically paying on consignment. And up until now, there really weren't great ways to consistently measure performance other than sales results. Well, now we have the ability to see and measure more people's inputs into the system. Ultimately, yes, we're all trying to get revenue. Nobody has lost sight of that goal. But now we can really understand of what is it, what are the actions and activities, skill sets, and behaviors of the salesperson that directly correlate to positive sales outcomes.
I was also very interested in this survey that you put up. Walk us through this. What does this mean?
I developed this from when I work with clients. One of the first things I want to know is, what is the biggest area that you see as need for improvement? And for some of the savvy audience viewers of this will recognize that these are the key ingredients of the sales velocity equation. And I was just surprised by the overwhelming vote for brand new opportunities, which makes sense going back to the point number one of, hey, out of all the things that technology can do, making prospecting easier. That's hand in hand with new logos and clients. They're essentially synonymous. That was surprising to me because in my client work, I often see a lot more of, hey, we're talking to a lot of companies, but we're just not closing, which would be category number 3.
So you go a little bit deeper into that in key point number 4 here, right?
Right. And so Rainier hits it on the head. He voted for more new opportunities because that's the easiest to automate. I agree mostly with it, but not completely. There is not an aspect of life that technology is not touching. The same thing happens to sales. So the easiest way to start is, let's get more prospecting activity done. But boy, when it's time for renewals and automating, let's say, reports and insights and getting people surfacing interesting, compelling observations that the renewal rep can bring up well before it's time for the contract discussion. Automation, technology, efficiency, productivity are hitting all parts of the sales cycle, not just SDRs or sales development reps, coming to the AEs and the closers, to the customer success and renewal people. Things touch all of them. And then to David's point, what I like about his is he touches on the ability of that these tools aren't just for managers. The challenge that they've also made for themselves is that these tools are often viewed as manager tools, as how am I going to look at my sales reps, and if I'm a nice, good manager, I'll help them be better and everyone will enjoy the process. But if I'm a hard-nosed manager, I'm just getting more batons to beat my salespeople up. And that's how I think most people view it. So being able to drive this individual behavior change, that I could look at my own behavior, that's what I see separates top-notch reps. Knowing their product and knowing how to take advantage of the tools and the support to get their job done efficiently and effectively, these are the ones that I see consistently in the top of the leaderboard now.
All right, your final point here, key number 5. Tell us about this.
That's another big trend over sales over the last 5 to 10 years is once you get to larger transaction sizes, the buyers are buying in a committee, and the specialized knowledge that it takes on the seller side just requires more specialists, sales engineers, client support, maybe subject matter experts. It's not uncommon to have 10 different people, at least, that can touch a deal. Recognizing that something as simple as Slack or Basecamp, those weren't purpose-built for sales, and there are others that have followed that are. But just this idea of, if nothing else, it helps us coordinate better and stay in sync. And so just having the data to keep track of all this, so just at the very least, everybody knows where we are and where we're going. That alone fixes the vast majority of sales pipeline issues out there.
I know you had a great panel. Talk about the 3 that really stood out in your mind.
Well, David is so good, he's been promoted to the facilitator on another panel that we serve. That's David Cottrell. Both Davids, well, all 3, David, and Rainier, have been consistently spot on and concise and insightful with their comments. And they frequently are getting voted up by their peers. And David Cottrell has a consulting background, has seen a ton. Rainier is a company executive and sees across the whole business. And just David, I don't know as much about his background, but boy, when he just brings in a point, he brings it home. And so just the fact that all three of these men have been consistently engaged from the start, I'm really grateful to their contributions.
You did a great job explaining this to us. It was complex in and of itself, and I think you broke it down really well. So thanks, Kevin.
You're very welcome. This was a great experience, and I thank you for that.
Kevin Asher is president of AcousticSelling, where he helps salespeople and their managers become more awesome by letting tech help them. Thank you, Kevin.